Hello, I'm Chris Burns, and welcome to The Network. Hard talk with a matrix of newsmakers. The headlines. In the European Parliament, the ballot box battle now turns to the fight for leadership. Who will run the EU's Parliament, Commission and Council? Populist and extremist parties took a quarter of the Parliament seats in the elections, forcing the mainstream left and right into a de facto grand coalition. How will that coalition shape the new leadership and Europe's policies on fighting unemployment, heading off another financial crisis, or dealing with immigration? And in the battle for Commission President, will there be a standoff between the Parliament and national leaders in the European Council? What role could the populists play? Wired into this edition of The Network here in the European Parliament in Brussels, Paulo Rangel, Portuguese Vice-President of the European People's Party Group, or EPP, in the Parliament, Kathleen Van Bremt, Belgian member of the Socialists and Democrats, or S&D, in the Parliament, and Gerolf Annemans, a newly elected member of the European Parliament and President of the Belgian Party Vlaams Belang, considered one of the far-right anti-immigrant groups in the Parliament. Welcome to all of you. A question to all of you, starting with Mr. Rangel, with Paulo. The fringe parties, far right and left, now make up nearly a quarter of the European Parliament. Are we headed for paralysis here?
Well, I don't think so. I think that this will require more compromise between the parties that are in the center. So the grand coalition, I would say, Greens, Liberals, EPP, S&D, even ECR. So, but I don't think that that will means paralysis.
Okay, well, Kathleen, that indicates to me, though, that policy is not going to be assertive. You could be paralyzed in that sense, no?
Well, I don't think so. I do not agree. The extreme right parties, they are anti-European, but they're also very anti-immigrants. They're very anti-Islam, and that's their core business. Extreme left or far left, they are less Eurosceptic than the far right. That's first of all.
Okay, so you mean you're going to be able to ally with the far left, possibly?
For social issues, absolutely.
Get things done.
So don't add them up, and I agree with my colleague. What we will have to do is to make a good compromise on how to head up with Europe. I think that's what people ask of us, to give solutions and not to polarize.
Gerolf, maybe you don't want assertive policy. Maybe you want to paralyze this Parliament, no?
Well, if there is a crisis, I would not be against it. I don't want to be called an extremist. We are, if I am extreme, I'm an extreme confederalist. And so if this system, this federal system blocks, I'm not against it.
You're not against that. Mr. Rangel, Paulo, doesn't this mean then, you're talking about compromise, this is going to be watered down policy on various issues, on fighting unemployment, on immigration and so forth, no?
No, I think that we have already a range of values that we can share. So we have this experience in Belgium, in Netherlands, in Austria, in Germany, in Denmark, in Italy, where there is always a very strong cooperation among parties. So I don't think that will be a problem.
Okay, but let me think of, for instance, single market issues. The S&D will be much more protectionist about certain issues, about labor protections, about some barriers, some national barriers to the single market. Is this not going to be a problem?
Well, it's up to all of us to make a good compromise. And instead of trying to make a compromise in watering down things, maybe we can make a compromise in saying, on the one hand, it's important that we are strong on budgetary issues, but on the other hand, we now are going to build a social Europe. For instance, the fact that we need minimum wages, the fact that we make sure that we have a very good fight against poverty. Why not combine these issues and make sure that we invest into the European Union and give people a future? I think that's the best answer we can give.
You both sound very conciliatory, like you're almost governing already. Gerolf, what do you think? Your head's been shaking there.
They are federalists. We think that Europe, the centerfold of Europe, should be and should stay the member states, and we even want to give powers back to the member states.
So you're going to be throwing the monkey wrench into the machinery as much as you can, right?
Well, we are not destroying anything, but we should design Europe in another way, and we should go back to more power for the member states. And in that sense, the presidency of the Commission is the secretariat of the Council. So there is no trouble about the presidency.
It's not our first
warrior.
All right, Kathleen.
Can I say something? Because
Quickly, yes.
you say as if there's already a group in the
Sounds
parliament
like it to me.
that is Eurosceptic. Doesn't exist yet.
Oh, on that
UKIP
side.
doesn't want to cooperate with the Front National because the one thinks the other is too extreme. So they're not. If
They
they're
might
not
be
even
forming a
been
group.
able to form a group, then they will be completely
you do
irrelevant
your
in the European
job. I'll do
Parliament.
my job, and
Okay.
we'll see.
Well,
but on
right.
these issues, we will always be on the same point of view.
Okay, Rangel, very quickly.
And I think it's very important to have voices in the parliament that are against Europe and federalism. This debate is a good debate. The problem is not the debate pro-integration or against integration, is the immigration, xenophobia, racism. That will be a problem.
All right.
But to have people that are against more integration, that is not a problem. That is a democratic debate.
Okay.
So there is a difference between a Eurosceptic position and the racist and extremist position.
I'm not an extremist. I'm not a racist. I'm a Europe confederalist.
All right, let's jump quickly. We made reference to the Commission presidency. That's very much up in the air right now. Who is going to be the next Commission president? Mr. Rangel.
I think that naturally it should be Jean-Claude Juncker. That would be the natural solution.
But it doesn't look like the heads of state are all agreeing on this.
Yes.
There could be somebody else.
You know,
what about a woman, maybe?
Well, that can be also a solution to have a candidate that can be a compromise candidate.
Christine Lagarde, maybe.
I wouldn't choose anyone now. It's not my responsibility. What I say is that we expect that the results can be respected.
It's not in the bag, Kathleen. How do you see possibly Christine Lagarde or maybe the Danish Prime Minister?
Helle Thorning-Schmidt?
Yes.
Oh, she would be wonderful. But let's try to stick for the beginning of this process to what we have agreed upon. We always said the biggest group is allowed to take the initiative. That's what we did.
You've
we said to
respected
Mr.
that.
Juncker, although he's not my group.
But it's not in the bag.
No, wait, and let him do his job. The problem is not that the Parliament takes its responsibility, but the problem is the Council is doing something completely different.
The heads of state.
And there's a sort of lack of real European political parties, because it's a little bit strange that a Christian Democrat has the initiative, but other Christian Democrats in the Council say, let's not go there.
Exactly.
So we will have to make an agreement on that.
Gerolf, where do you weigh in on that? Who would you like to see as Commission President?
In my view, the Commission is a secretariat of the Council and should not be more than that. So
who?
We should not give a political role to this Commission.
So who?
So
who?
I don't care, as long as he has as little political power as possible. And so the Parliament...
You don't want to see a superstar, you want to see it administered.
The Member States will appoint him.
All right, okay.
I'm sure of that.
Let's move on a little bit more to issues like immigration, for instance. That's going to be a very hot issue. How to deal with that, because a lot of voters were upset about immigration. Is Schengen in trouble? Rangel.
Well, I think there is a risk that is in trouble. I think that we should stick to defend the Schengen system and the Schengen freedoms. Of course, we have to care about the problem, that is the social tourism that you know. It's really a very strong problem. But if we can deal with it, we can maintain and keep.
Okay, that's been a conflict, Kathleen, with the S&D. How are you guys going to see on the same page there?
I do not agree, and the Commission has had a study where it proved that social tourism is only a problem of 1%. So let's not make it a bigger problem than it is. The problem is not Schengen, the problem is not social tourism, but the problem is social dumping. The fact that, for instance, Spanish laborers in Belgium, for instance, are paid 2 to 3 euros an hour. That's what we have to deal with.
Last word, Gerolf. We're almost out of time. Gerolf,
of course.
Would you like to torpedo Schengen?
Of course, Schengen and the concept of Schengen is in trouble. We all, as member states, allowed Europe to abolish our internal borders, and Europe promised to guard our external borders, and this was a failure, as has been shown the last 5 years. So Schengen, we should rethink Schengen and the whole concept.
Okay, guys, I'm so sorry, but I'm so sorry, but we're out of time. It was a good debate. Thanks very much to all of you. I'd like to thank our guests, Paulo Rangel, Kathleen Van Bremt, and Gerolf Annemans. I'm Chris Burns, and until next time, thanks for connecting with the network.